A very good morning to all. Welcome to Vrittanta 2021. With the new normal in vogue, we present before you the online edition of Vrittanta. The last 1 year has been a rude awakening for all of us. It taught us to hold on to what we have and count every moment we have as a blessing. Let us start the day seeking the blessings of the Almighty. I request Nitya to present the invocation song.
गणनायकाय गणदेवताय गणाध्यक्षाय धीमहि गुणशरीराय गुणमण्डिताय गुणेशानाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रवेशाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीतनयाय धीमहि गजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय श्रीगणेशाय धीमहि.
Thank you, Nitya. An event attains its glory by virtue of the presence of the gathering. I now request Dr. Shilpa Kalyan, the HOD of the Department of Humanities, to formally welcome the August gathering and the participants.
Respected dignitaries, dear colleagues, students, and our beloved guests, a very good morning to all. Welcome back to another edition of Vrittanta. In every crisis, there is an opportunity to become resilient, emerge stronger, and evolve into better beings. This edition of Vrittanta is a tribute to the reviving and renewing of the human spirit. To make the event more meaningful, we have with us Ms. Dhanya Rajendran, Editor-in-Chief, The News Minute, as our chief guest. Her passion, commitment, and sincerity as a versatile journalist over the years, amidst all the odds, are indeed inspiring. Her commitment towards upholding the integrity of the Fourth Estate, especially during these testing times, is admirable. We are immensely excited to have you with us, ma'am. A very heartfelt welcome to you, Ms. Dhanya. In absentia, let me welcome our dynamic leaders, our chairman, Dr. Nisar Ahmed, our vice chairman, Mr. Suhail Ahmed, our principal, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Shinde, whose support and encouragement have always inspired us to do something bigger and better. I would like to extend a warm welcome to Dr. Ali, HOD of the Department of Computer Applications, Professor Aisha Banu, Head of the Department of Commerce and Management, Dr. Pundarika Vittal, Principal, Presidency Evening College. No fest is complete without enthusiastic participants. They invigorate us to put on a show year after year and push ourselves to become best of ourselves. We have students from across the country representing so many prestigious colleges and universities. Thank you all for being part of our fest. We may all be scattered across different parts of the country, but in spirit, we are all in this together. My warmest welcome to all of you. And finally, a warm welcome to our dearest students and all my colleagues. Have a wonderful fest and thank you. Ms. Preeta, you may take over.
Thank you, Shilpa. As the teacher convener of Vrittanta 2021, I would like to take you through a short memory lane and revisit the journey of Vrittanta. Life is about stories, some told and some left untold. Experiences make us, break us, and it also heals us. Vrittanta started with a humble effort in the year 2014 to unfold snippets of life and share stories through words, art, visuals, and sometimes silence, with a meager strength of 50-odd students and 2 faculty members. With every year, the story of Vrittanta got richer and more profound. Today, with 150 students and 10 faculty members, Vrittanta is no longer an event, but a manifestation of emotions from the reservoir of experiences. We are proud to be hosting this year the 8th edition of Vrittanta. From spinning yarns since 2014 to the online edition in 2021, Vrittanta has come a long way indeed, and how. During such difficult and uncertain times, hope and faith is all we can have. The theme for Vrittanta 2021 is Metamorphosis. We all look forward to a change that can transform the grim and renew and revive our spirit. Let the stories continue. I would like to thank our media sponsors briefly, our knowledge partner, BPACT, and our silver sponsor, Irubi. I would now request Shivani, the student convener of Vrittanta 2021, to share the details of the theme, Metamorphosis, Renew and Revive. Welcome, Shivani. Please take over.
Good morning to one and all present here. Center for Media Studies has been conducting the Media Fest Vrittanta consecutively for past 8 years now. This year, the unusual circumstances have forced us to conduct it online. We had our moments of doubt, but we rallied through it. The opportunity and the challenges presented by the pandemic made us rise out of our comfort zones and try our hands at new and exciting experiments. So, finally, here we are. Welcome to Vrittanta 2021, Metamorphosis, Renew and Revive. The theme of the fest, Metamorphosis, was carefully considered and chosen to capture the change we all have gone through as we cocooned ourselves at home. The transition we all underwent to tackle the challenges of the COVID era. It is a testimony to the renewed self that emerged from the cocoon to help us navigate the bewildering with efficiency. Though it has been a trying time for many of us, the fact remains same that we have found the courage and the will and the means to metamorphose into an adaptable populace. When we look beyond, we amaze ourselves with our resilience and our ability to roll with the punches. Millennials, especially students, have been thrown towards a massive shift in the global framework that has rendered it important for us to acquire the necessary traits to move ahead and shape a brighter future for ourselves and for a larger cause. Renew and Revive reaffirms the notion that all of us belonging to human race must suitably equip ourselves to own and rule the world order of 2021. It is a reminder that we have not been suppressed by the pandemic. Instead, we have used it as an opportunity to revive our spirits and emerge as better and bolder ourselves. We are the legendary phoenix that can rise from its own ashes. We hope you enjoy Fest as much as we enjoyed putting it together. Vrittanta 2021, Metamorphosis, Renew and Revive. Thank you.
Let us take you through a visual journey of Vrittanta and Vrittanta 2021 Metamorphosis. We are honored to have with us Ms. Dhanya Rajendran as our chief guest. May I request Nabomita to formally introduce the chief guest for the day. Nabomita, please take over.
Good morning, everyone. A very heartwarming and warm welcome to Ms. Dhanya Rajendran, co-founder and editor-in-chief of the News Minute. Journalist Dhanya Rajendran turned into a successful entrepreneur when she co-founded the News Minute, a digital news website focusing on the news coverage of the southern states of India in 2014, along with her husband, Mr. Vignesh Vellore, and veteran journalist Chitra Subramaniam. Before founding the News Minute, Ms. Rajendran worked as South India head for the English news channel Times Now and the New Indian Express, and reported extensively from Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and also Andhra Pradesh. Ms. Dhanya was also a member of the Network for Women in Media in India. She has always been vocal about violence faced by women journalists in the field of media, whether writing about former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Jayalalitha's molestation case, or supporting women journalists in Sabrimala protesting against the violence of the secretary of the Thiruvananthapuram Press Club against a women journalist, or the time she came out in support of women sharing their stories during the Me Too movement in India by consistently featuring several stories about the issue and also speaking out about it. She has gone above and beyond to ensure the truth of voices behind news reaches us and has been inspiration to us all. She has also advocated the need to bring about a balance between personal morals and professional requirements. Ms. Dhanya penned down most powerful quote in the News Minute, quote unquote, let's not be vultures. Also, after some following cases like the sexual assault and murder of a child in Chennai, and an actor's abduction case and case of rape in Kochi, high on ethics, she has always taken sides in the pursuit to assist in cases and made sure culprits were caught, but also took the sensitivity of the victims or survivors' privacy and their families seriously. Ms. Rajendran's startup, the News Minute, has grown into a very distinct voice in the regional coverage and in the English news media. Despite being in a highly competitive market, TNM is successfully mulling a paid app service focused on news from the South. Her achievements have been acknowledged through the various awards she has received. She was named as one of India's best entrepreneurs in Fortune magazine's 40 Under 40 list in 2018. Dhanya was also awarded Namma Bengaluru Media Person of the Year in 2017. These are a few of the many feathers in her cap. We are extremely honored and privileged to have with us such an inspirational person in Vrittanta 2021. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being a part of this occasion and making it more special. Now, may I ask Ms. Dhanya Rajendran to speak a few words?
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, Nabamita, for that kind introduction. Um, hello everyone. I actually feel very strange having to address people. I mean, though it's been more than 1 year into the pandemic, I still feel very strange looking at myself and addressing a crowd of young people. But here, all of you are sitting at your homes. Is this entire fest virtual? I'm not very sure, but I'm pretty sure a large part of it is going to be virtual, and this is something that you may not have ever thought of around 2 years ago. I did not think, like when I watch movies like Contagion, even before, or movies of that genre, I always thought this is never going to happen in a world where I live in. It's only a movie plot. But clearly, it's no longer a movie plot. It's part of our lives, though, of course, not as dramatic as a Contagion movie. We are living part of it, right? All of us sitting at our homes, looking at each other's screens and addressing each other when you should have been on campus having this wonderful fest, meeting people, making new friends, speaking to each other. I know that some of you who don't like to meet crowds may be relieved that this is happening so, but a large majority is dejected because this was an opportunity for you to learn, to be in your campus, but that's been taken away from you. But what I want to say is that the theme of your entire fest is positive. So let's try to look at it in a positive way. The pandemic itself, like I said, I don't think anyone ever predicted that a pandemic like this would happen. People are now saying it's actually an endemic, it's not just a pandemic, and this is only the beginning of things. So, how is life ahead going to be for us? Are masks going to become a part of our daily lives forever and ever? Are we going to see so many, mutations of this virus that we will not be able to keep up with our vaccines? And even if that is so, let us take this as an opportunity to look around and learn. Now, I know that when you're in college, reading newspapers or reading news is not your priority. I mean, it definitely wasn't. But for me, when I was in college, but I did not have a Facebook or Twitter or, so many other apps where news kept staring back at me. So, yes, I would want to tell all of you that take the pandemic as an opportunity to learn, to understand what is happening around you. Even if you're not interested in science, make that effort, read up, see, also understand something that is impacting your lives. Now, long back, many people could afford to say, like, I've had friends who would say, I'm not interested in politics or I'm not interested in science. And I have lived with roommates who had no clue who was the government in power. Like, I remember a specific roommate who did not know that the UPA was in power in 2005 or 6. So people could afford to be clueless. People could afford to not know what is happening around them. But this pandemic is not something like that. It impacts each one of our lives, your lives, the lives of your families, your friends, everyone who lives around you. So it is important that we understand the pandemic. And as we read about, the policies of government or what new strain has come, or the small if people in your family have had COVID, you do know what all you have done. You've read about exercising. You've read about how to really combat the disease. But more than that, I think as young people, you should also take this time to reflect and understand what your privileges are in life and who are those people who don't have those privileges. Now imagine you are at least lucky enough to sit in this class, sit in this fest, and for the next 1 or 2 days to enjoy and impart a lot of knowledge from this fest. But there are a lot of kids around you who do not even have that privilege. In fact, one of my reporters, his name is Prajwal. He has been going around in Karnataka, like he went to Chikmagalur and Mangalore and many other places in the last 2 days. We are going to put out that story today or tomorrow. So I urge you to read it. The story that he was doing is about kids who literally have to, like, there is this one girl who has to go to a bus stop near her house every single day to simply get a 3G or 4G network to get connection. Another reporter of mine called Neetu, she's going to Idukki in 2 days' time, where kids have to actually walk into into a national animal reserve park, because at one point in the reserve park they would get internet. So adults have to accompany them because there is a danger that some animal or the other may be roaming around. So they go as a group with a few adults to accompany them, and that's how they do their lessons every day. In Mangalore, in fact, there is one particular boy who we saw who has to spend time under a small metal shed every day, and it gets heated up after a point of time, but that's the only place where he gets signal. In fact, I went for a holiday recently to Chikmagalur, which is quite near Bangalore, and I was completely shocked that I did not have any connectivity for 2 days, and I was wondering if my son was studying here, what would he have done? So I explained to him that, look, this is a privilege that you have when you stay in Bangalore. You can just wake up. Most days he doesn't want to wake up because 7:45 he has to get ready and sit for. He has a prayer class. Imagine 8 o'clock he has a prayer class. So definitely he doesn't want to be a part of the prayer class. But he does not have to get up at 6:30 and walk some 5 kilometers and access that class, right? That's a privilege which he has. So all of us have to understand that even in that pandemic, what our privileges are and who are those people around us who do not have those privileges. The United Nations and UNICEF had thought that in this decade, 100 million girls will be married off, and 100 million child marriages will happen in this in the world, which includes mostly girls being married off. And because of the pandemic, they expect that 10 million more girls will be given away in child marriages, and a large number is in India. In fact, in states that we have been reporting from, Telangana, for example, has reported 27 more percentage more of child marriages. Imagine, these are also young people like you who've had dreams of pursuing an education, of pursuing a career, and most of it have to be abandoned simply because the pandemic struck. Their parents have no way out. They do not have a source of income. They do not have employment. They've lost carry off their children. So there are so many people without these privileges around you. Look at them. This, you also have a lot of extra time now, right? Because you obviously are not going out. So think of what you want to be a part of. Do you want to be part of environment groups? Do you want to be part of groups which talk about human rights? Invest some time into all this. I'm not saying a lot of time, maybe in a week, 3 or 4 hours, you can invest into it. Things are available at your fingertips now, so you can learn, you can understand all this. And as you read, I would also urge that, don't be dispassionate anymore about what a government is supposed to do for you. I spoke about privilege. Now, as you understand your privilege and as you look at people who are not privileged, you should also take more keen interest into what a government can do for you as a citizen and what a government is not doing for your citizen. This kind of knowledge is very important because I'm 40 years old. This year I turned 40. When I was your age, I could afford not to understand how a government functions around me. But I think you no longer have that kind of a luxury. You have to understand how a government functions simply because, again, it impacts your daily life. And I'm glad at this point of time that I'm in a profession like journalism where I can look at what a government does critically almost every single day. Now, when I was 16 or 17, I had no clue about what I wanted to do in my career. In fact, I was into science quite a bit when I was in school. I was in these young scientist forums. And I was a sort of a rebel because everyone decided that, oh, Dhanya is good at science, so she may become a scientist. I decided I will definitely not become a scientist. And so I took commerce stream in college. I mean, my life has more, when I was young, it has more been about what do people not expect, what do people expect out of me? So I will definitely not do that. That's how I used to think. So I remember that I was clueless about what I wanted to do. But when I was around 16 or 17 years old, it was in 1997. I remember my dad used to be addicted to news. I mean, he's still addicted to news. So he used to watch news shows. At those times, there were not too many news channels. I think it was only NDTV or perhaps it was Doordarshan, which used to have an NDTV show. I don't remember clearly. But I do remember that in 1997, when the Devagowda government fell, I was in 11th standard or 12th standard. I was watching this news show with my father, and there were two news anchors who were feeling really angry. I think it was Rajdeep Sardesai and Barkhadat, but I'm not very sure. But in my hazy memory, it was them. And they were feeling very angry that a government has fell. There is going to be elections again, and elections mean that a lot of money is going to be spent. That there is going to be, some sort of a suspense as far as policies are concerned. We do not know which the next government will be, which means people are going to be put into a lot of difficulty. So these people were feeling very agitated, these news anchors, and they were passionately telling the audience that does India deserve this? Why do we have this political uncertainty? And I felt, look, these people are actually doing an interesting job. They are speaking on my behalf. I mean, it's my money, my father's money, which is going to be spent for a next election, and money which belongs to lakhs and millions of people. So they are speaking on my behalf. And I felt like that's a job which I wouldn't mind doing. But at 16 or 17, yes, I did think that this job is very cool, but I did not know till I passed out my graduation that that's actually what I want to do. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that even after writing my final graduation exam, which is BCom, I had no clue what I wanted to become. Most of my friends were writing this chartered accountancy exam, and I was very sure that is something I don't want to do. Many others were writing MBA exams. That was in vogue at that time. I don't know if it's still in vogue, maybe it is, but almost everybody wanted to become an MBA graduate. I also went and wrote a few exams and I got through one or two colleges, but I realized that do I want to become a business administration graduate and go to meetings and present charts and do slideshows? And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. And it is only after my graduation, after writing many entrance exams, that I figured out maybe I want to be a journalist. I want to pursue that dream, be that person on screen who would be very agitated if a government fell, which is when I decided to become a journalist. So I'm saying that even if you're clueless now, it's okay, you can be, but unlike us and your teachers perhaps, uh, things are so much more better. You have so many ways to read and learn. You have the internet, which opens up this whole new window of things, right? I mean, so many windows. So I'm sure you're not as clueless as I was, and many of you already know what you want to become. But I'm just saying that though I was clueless at 16 or 17, in hindsight, I'm really happy that eventually I watched that show when I was 16, and it brought me to a career that I now believe in. And over the years, I have understood that journalism is not a profession which is just about glamour, or it is just about, people know me, they listen to me, they read me. But it all boils down to public good. It's a profession which deals with public service. At the end of the day, I am just a person who tells a story of another human being. I make other human beings read it. I'm here for public good. I want people to read stories that matter. I want to hold governments to account. I want to talk truth to power. And I'm also happy that, when I don't know, most of you may not know anything about me, because when I was in college, I hardly knew anything about other journalists. So just to give a small introduction, I studied in the Asian College of Journalism in Chennai. Then I went and joined a job at a channel called India Vision. It was the first Malayalam 24-hour news channel. So I joined India Vision. I was there for just around 10 months. I ran away because I realized working in Delhi is not my cup of tea. And I literally ran away. I jumped into a train, did not have a ticket. I just took that unreserved compartment and I went back to Kerala, and I told my father, I do not want to work in Delhi. Then I got my second job at the New Indian Express in Chennai. I worked there for a year. Later I joined Times Now because my dream was still part to be television, and I was there in Times Now for 8 years. Finally, I was the bureau chief of South. Those times we only had 4 states. Telangana was still not a state. But I decided after 8 years that the nation does not want to know, and I quit that. And I was still confused. I did not know what to do. I mean, at around, I think, 32, 33 years of age, I was not sure what I wanted to do, because I was only clear I will not go back to television. Television had become like a marketing job where I had to wake up every day and tell people this is the headline. And, because newsrooms are mainly Bombay and Delhi centric, it was very difficult for me as a reporter from South India, as a bureau chief for South India, to fight for stories from South India. So I decided I don't want to go back to television. And I was completely clueless as to what to do. I took a sabbatical to look after my son. I mean, that was an excuse, but I did look after him properly for 1 year. And I keep reminding him that 1 year I took sabbatical and looked after you. And after that, I realized that there is this whole new avenue in front of me, which is called digital. When I was in television, I hardly remember reading any websites. But today, can you imagine a world where digital websites or digital news websites were not a part of the Indian media's ecosystem? I mean, even 5 years ago, digital was not a large part of Indian media ecosystem. And because of that, I never thought that I would have a career in digital. But today, not only that I have a career in digital media, but I run an organization which gives jobs to at least 50 people. And I'm glad that I made this transition because when I look now, unlike television or print, which have a lot of limitations, digital is that one medium which is speaking truth to power more than the other two mediums. Digital journalists who work along with me and many other organizations are, I would say, more popular than people in television or print. And because our revenue models, are not dependent on government ads, on government revenue, we have no problem asking tough questions to the government. Of course, we do suffer quite a bit because of it. I don't know how many of you know, but there are the new IT rules which the government has brought in, which I think is a direct strike on press freedom, on freedom of speech, which is why I've gone to court along with many others like the Wire, the Quint, etc. We have approached various courts asking for relief. So I want to just conclude saying that it's okay to be confused. It's okay to be clueless. Most of us, like I did, will figure out what jobs we want to do. Maybe you don't want to work at all, but that's your choice, right? So, and even when you have a career like I did, 8 years, I was a successful television journalist, but at the end of that career, I was still confused as to what to do next. But there was a way that life told me that you will end up being a digital journalist. And here I am. Maybe 5 years down the line, I won't be doing digital journalism at all and I'll be doing something else. So all this will be figured out eventually, but use this opportunity to learn. The pandemic is a huge learning process for all of us. And I would like to end my talk saying that I could take all these decisions in life. I could afford to be clueless, or I could be in this job only because in my education in Kerala, I studied in Kerala. My school was in a private school in Kerala, and my college I did in a government school. In both these educational institutions that I went to, my teachers clearly told me that dissent is okay. I was allowed to ask questions. For example, if I studied in most of the colleges in Bangalore, I mean, I would have dissented. When I read stories these days about the kind of excess discipline which is being expected from students, or that, like in Tamil Nadu, for example, there is segregation of sexes where girls cannot talk to boys. Some colleges have different paths to walk in. If I had studied in any of those colleges, I would have definitely dissented. So even in our classrooms, we were allowed to tell the teacher that, look, this is not okay. That, hello, I don't agree with what you're saying. I was a student politician, so I would even get out the principal, or we would strike suddenly and the college would be shut down. So those were exciting times. But what that told me is that, no matter if it's your parent, your teacher, your principal, your prime minister, if they tell you things that you are not convinced about, you have all rights to ask questions. Just because you are young, just because you're a student, you're a child, etc., it does not mean that someone, an adult, can take away the power of questioning from you. So always remember that. Of course, that can land you in trouble, like what happened to Disha Ravi, a student like you all in Bangalore. She decided to ask questions, it landed her up in jail. But that's an extreme case. That's not going to happen to a lot of people. But remember, ask questions, be curious, and dissent if you need to. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dhanya Rajendran, for such a relevant and timely speech and taking us through your journey. May I request you to allow us to take a picture together so that I can request everyone to switch on their videos and let's all come together for one click.
This is the first
So can I
time.
request everyone to please switch on their videos so that we can take a group picture together to commemorate this occasion. And it's a very, very special occasion indeed. And it's even more special for your presence. Aviral, just let us know. Is it done? I mean, we don't mind to keep smiling.
It's done, ma'am.
Thank you. May I now request our chief guest for the day, Ms. Dhanya Rajendran, formally declare the fest open.
Can you, hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, so I do declare the fest open, and I hope you guys have a really great time.
Thank you so much. And let us also hope that you get some time from your busy schedule to at least walk into one of our events and have a look at, what we have been trying to do, because it would mean a lot to all of us. Thank you so much for being with us and gracing the occasion. And as I said, the journey that you shared of your life, I'm sure is going to be very inspiring for each one of the students here, also the teachers, including me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I now request the participants for improv to join their event link as per their timings and carry on with the event. Once again, I welcome all of you to the various events of Vrittanta, to the journey of Vrittanta, and let us all believe in something that the story must continue with Vrittanta 2021. I wish you all the best. May you have a lovely day ahead. Thank you. Shilpa, shall